To say why I'm doing it, and then we follow up with why everybody's doing it?
Yes, you can tell me about yoga, why you are doing yoga.
Okay. Well, you tell me when you want me to start to do.
Yeah, you can do it at the same time.
Just do it at the same time?
Yeah.
Well, why I'm doing yoga and my understanding of it now, not when I first started, is that it gives me a discipline, a commitment that is very stable, and that it's like the sense of well-being that I get, the sense of well-being physically, but not only physically, but also from a mental and emotional point of view. So it has all those advantages for me. And the advantages are that I don't have to think of how to make my life more efficient, work better than what it has been in the past. All I have to do is to actually do the practice. And by doing the practice, it just seems to naturally unfold. It's like Pattabhi Jois says, just do your practice and all will come. They were just words to me at the very beginning. But now I find that I know what the meaning of those words are. It's becoming more meaningful to me, and it's integrating into my own system, my own practice, my own outlook in life. So it's a very simple procedure for me. It's just simply do the practice, and you don't have to think about how you're going to unfold, how you're going to get better, or whatever thoughts one might have to improve their lives. It just improves automatically with the practice. That's the benefits I get from it. Why other students are doing it, I think it's really the same path as journey as what I've had. First of all, it's a sense of doing something physical that's bringing a sense of changing your physical body for a start. Not that you may have thought very much about changing that physical body, but our bodies are constructed in such a way that we've got the scaffolding, which is the skeletal part of the body, and the muscles, which is like the pulleys. And if our lifestyle is such that we've got these things, these pulleys tightening up in certain areas and lengthening in other areas, it must, in fact, put the scaffolding or the skeletal being out of shape, out of alignment. Which means that the natural energy flow of the body that goes through you hasn't got a clear line to follow through. It's like most of us are forward bending, and it means that the energy gets caught up more into the blocked areas. So physically, people start to change, and then it goes a little deeper as time goes on. It goes from physical things to finding that you're more stable about your emotional things, your mind. You start to understand a little bit about the mind saying that one thing one moment and then changing its opinion another moment. So you're not so much subject to the sways of the mind. You start to get the students start to get the feeling that they have control. It's a little bit like a movie. First of all, we're the players, the actors and actresses in the movie. But then once we've played those many roles that we play in life, then we become the director. So the director stands back and can see all those things going on, which is a much more agreeable place to be at than just being totally involved in the play role that we may be involved in, whatever it might be. So then when you have an overview of it, you start to feel you have more mastery over your mind as well as over your body. And that's what I think eventually is what students are getting that feeling for. Certainly not at the beginning, because it's more surface level. But as you practice year after year, then you get the feeling that this is going deeper than you even thought it could do. So I think that once you get the feeling of a commitment, you've got this purpose in life, which you do as a discipline But it's not a willful discipline that I must do. It becomes a willing discipline because you feel, well, because it just becomes part of you and you feel so much better through it. So I think it's the same journey as I have. It gets deeper and deeper as the years go by, and you just see the miracle of the whole system without having to use this mind that tells you one thing and another. You go deeper. You start to use deeper state of awareness, and there's the mind develops into a consciousness that is calmer, because when we're on the surface mind, the intellect mind, it's very much like the ocean surface. It's coming up, it's going down, and it's sometimes high waves coming up and then dipping, so our emotions are up and down. But then as you start to use the breath and the movement with the breath, and that lengthens, then the mind actually becomes very calm, and you can actually, without even trying, be the center of your own beingness, or your own, let's say, it's like feeling you're in the center of your own power and not always going out somewhere else to try and feel power. So it brings you to a more completeness. I'm not sure if that's, really what other students feel, but it seems to be the journey that most I hear from have the same type of experience as they go on from keeping practices. I don't know, is that what you were seeking?
What about the Pattabhi Jois?
Pattabhi Jois. Pattabhi Jois is a very wonderful, compassionate being. It's, for me, when I first went to him, he seemed to take much notice. And you didn't get the feel of him very much, although you knew he was a great person. But as you go to him each year, then you get that sense of he's a very wise being. And this wise being is like a father to all his Astanga children, all the people who come to him and who've been touched by his teachings. And for me, it's like he's helped to bring the Astanga system back into our modern civilization from a very, very ancient past, which has been he's kept it traditional. He hasn't seemed to depart a great deal from the traditional. And as he says, it's just the breath. And these are the little sayings that start to make you know that he has that wisdom. He's known the system. He's done it for 60 years more, as a teacher. And so he's had all that experience. And the simple little things he says, and the simple little sayings he has, the little humour that he brings into it, is like a loving father. And first of all, you don't feel that love, but as you go to him more and you practice and you're more developing the system, then somehow it becomes as though he's a great master, and not somebody who needs to think that he's even a great master. He doesn't give that sense that I'm a great guru in any way whatsoever. He's very humble. So following his example that way is something that I find what I choose would like to happen for me, to bring the system humbling me. I'm only just telling you my personal experiences with him. When I first went to him, he could never get his name round and remember my name. I was Mary, I was somebody else, I was any name except Gwendoline. And it took years before he got to know that my name was Gwendoline. And it seemed as though when he did get it, he takes every opportunity to say, Gwendoline, Gwendoline, you do. That's one of those favourite sayings of his, you do. And the funny thing is that it's strange that when he says you do, somehow you do, even though you don't think you can do it. So it's just something very authoritative about him saying. There's no saying, oh, you try to do it. No, he says straight up, you do. So that authority gives a lot of confidence for you and gives you his strength. He gives you his strength to do it. So those are the parts that are very valuable as far as I'm concerned. That he gives you his energy, and that energy is not a harsh energy. He may sound as though he's actually growling at you from the other side of the room. What are you doing? Something like that. But then the compassion is there, even though he's sounding gruff. And so he's imparting that compassion as well as that authority. It's his energy that you gather from it. It's not what he does in adjustments or anything like that. It's this wonderful energy that he imparts to you. I've personally experienced him in the Mysore when I first started going to Pattabhi Jois. It was in Mysore, and I did several years there. I mean, 3 months, a month at a time. And then I've also experienced him teaching outside Mysore, which I feel very blessed because it's a different, he does the counting system outside Mysore, so I can get a real feel of how he had to learn in his day. So I've got the experience of both, which is a very wonderful experience, and I would recommend that if they've got a chance, everybody to give them the feel of him in Mysore as well as teaching big classes outside. I think nothing at this stage actually comes up to mind of being of greater importance than what I've just said about that.
What about the people who are speaking bad, Astanga Yoga? What do you think about? Or you don't think?
Taking part, could you be just a little bit more specific there? Is it the students taking part in the classes that we're doing, or the students taking part in Pattabhi Jois's classes?
No, people speaking about Astanga Yoga. Maybe they don't do Astanga Yoga themselves.
So people that are interested and want to find out a little bit about it.
Because there's many people Finland speaking very bad Astanga Yoga. Only physical, you don't do it.
Oh, yes. There are people, which I find it very interesting, where people are making judgments, they haven't even tried it, and they're saying it's an evil thing, or it's something that's, oh no, you shouldn't do that, that's bad for your body. And even people who haven't done Astanga, making those judgments, I don't feel are in a suitable position to make a judgment like that. They are always very afraid of what they call injuries. You mustn't have injuries. And that's, you can look at injuries in many ways. Pattabhi Jois looks at it as an opening. And that puts a entirely different framework onto the word injury. It's like injury has these feelings of, this is bad, you mustn't have an injury. But in actual fact, the injuries that I've had have been my best teachers. So somebody who's frightened of an injury, and may get an injury if they go to a class of Pattabhi Jois, they have the choice then to stay with Pattabhi Jois and work through that opening so that he can keep it open for them, or if they have too much fear in them, they'll run away. And then they'll say, oh, this is very bad for me, I got a big pop in my chest or something like that. But he just says, good, it's, good opening. Well, the person who's had the opening had a lot of doubts about it. But if you actually stay with Pattabhi Jois to actually allow him to help you through what people call injuries, then you have made a great opening. And that opening is like opening a prison door, letting you out of a captivity in the fear of pain, fear that it's bad. Pain is the body's language of telling you something, and if you have, for whatever reason, got this pain, or injury, then it's telling you that there's an area that has to be attended to in the body that requires an opening to make you a more balanced person physically, emotionally, and mentally. And you pass through it. It doesn't last forever. So say, and then you learn. The nice thing about it is that when you have an injury that gives you pain when you go into it, then you learn how to handle it, because you don't go into it with a lot of force. You in fact go to the edge of that pain where it's still mentally acceptable. It doesn't become such a thing that you're holding on with fear and then it gets more pain. But you start to breathe into it, you start to just edge up to it and then back off, and then start to move in again. And over the time, that injury will become no longer there. The pain will be no longer there. Let's say the injury will have healed itself. But that's doing it with understanding, and that's what the Astanga Yoga does. You don't go in and because there's a injury there, you don't go hard at it and feel as though, yes, I've got to work through this pain, I've got to have more pain, more gain, and that type of thing. No, it's like, it's telling me something, and you start to listen to what it's telling you, as I've recently had, and it's been a wonderful experience. And now that tight hamstring that got itself inflamed or whatever, made it feel sore, is fine. And it's only taken a little time, because I'm working with understanding, and I could only learn that understanding by having that pain to deal with. I couldn't learn it from reading a book. So that's what I think that a lot of people say, why it's very bad for you, and even Indian people will say, oh, that Astanga Yoga should be doing Raja Yoga, not Astanga Yoga, or the physical yoga. But it is through a lack of understanding of what it's all about.
What about, I get the facts from Finland, and there was one girl asking, ask Lynn or Gwendoline, what am I gonna do, because practices now, there's no energy, I can't practice. For me it's too difficult. What to do? For you, when you start, you feel it's difficult.
Well, for me, I'd done many different styles of yoga beforehand, and I'd floated in and floated out, and it was never really stable. And I did have a type of a discipline. I did keep it up, not a daily practice, and I certainly didn't want to do things that were difficult. So that was my type of practice. So I did have that little bit of background that yoga was somehow in me. But that's again a mind game. The energy, there's no energy. Okay, there's times when I don't have any energy, and sometimes it's necessary just to take rest. But then you get back into it again once the body's rested. It doesn't take very long. But again, it's a mind game. Now, I've gone through those things of, oh, is this right? Or is this, am I doing it right? Questions all the time. My mind's questioning, am I doing the right thing? And now I just know I am doing the right thing, because I've had many experiences through it of getting tired and then still doing a less, let's say, I have always been an extremist, so that when I do something, I'll go full on at it. I was going full on at it. And the Astanga Yoga brought something along for me which made me extremely tired. And I thought, how am I going to do my yoga? And it's just all my energy's gone. And the doctor said, you just must take rest. And I knew just taking rest was not right. So I did a little yoga, I adapted it. I made it a session where I could cope with it, but I could still do it. And it was the greatest breakthrough I ever really had, because of the fact that I knew I could still do my yoga. I didn't have to do it exactly the way everybody plows through it. I just had to do slight adjustments to conserve my energy. That was learning how to learn about myself, how to know myself. So then by that, I was able to go through that long period of time where the energy was just not there and still work through it, but in a different fashion, not in that push through no matter what. Which Astanga Yoga, when you first start, you have that feeling, oh, I must do this, oh, I must do it this way, always. Then I found out that you don't really have to. You still get the same benefits, and you can just nurture the body along until it's got that energy back again. So that's what I would say to anybody. Okay, if your energy's low, still do it, but do it find a way of doing it in a way where your energy isn't absolutely drained. And in actual fact, if you do the breathing, if you follow just the breath on those occasions, then the breath will bring the energy up. It's my experience of it. And I've had personal experience of having a type of illness that made me totally depleted of energy. And I was very worried because I didn't think I'd be able to do Astanga Yoga again. So it's changed now.
Okay, that may be everything. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so, yeah, that's... I hope that comes out all right. Whatever it is, it's okay.
What?
I hope it comes out all right for you. I hope it comes through.